Amber, ready? All right, welcome everybody to our regular council meeting for August 16th, 2023. It is 7:30 p.m. Let's start with a silent prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Amber.
Mr. Ghost,
Here.
Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper here, Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
6 present. And Mayor St. John is absent.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the minutes. We have the last two meetings, I believe, to approve, August 2nd and July 19th. Do we do a motion, Mr. Breen, for both at once? Can we do that?
It's up to the person making the motion, but you can.
But since a couple of us weren't out, one of them,
That's the reason to separate.
the other one, they probably could be handled separately.
Who has to abstain? Do you remember?
That's right,
You have that written down.
Mr. Gose and I were absent on the night,
July 19th.
and I was absent on the second. And you were absent last meeting, right? Yeah.
So
Motion
to
approve the July 19th.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Capel to approve the July 19th minutes, second by Ms. Cooper. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Abstain?
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
and Mr. Ghost.
Abstain.
4 yeas, so we have quorum.
That's passage, correct?
Yes.
And I'll make the motion for August 2nd. Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Capel for approval of the August 2nd minutes for that meeting. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Abstain.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Neff,
Abstain.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes,
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Got 4 yeas. we have
that's
quorum.
4. Okay. Minutes pass. All right, very good. Let's go to the visitors section. I see a few folks out there. Would anyone like to speak this evening? Mr. Bennett. All right, go right ahead, sir.
Very brief, very brief. With the
Your name.
yes, Barry Bennett, 5401 Plantation Road.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to request from council, as you're doing the engineering on the new parking area here, try to keep the trees if you can. That's all I got.
I think there's just one big one there, if I'm not mistaken. Is there two? Okay. And we had a discussion about that last meeting.
Yeah, we have asked Mr. Noplet to take a look at the trees for us.
Aaron, okay, very good. Let us know next meeting, Mr. Hank, to see how that turns out. Duly noted. Thanks, Mr. Bennett. Okay, let's go to the committee reports.
They're on the agenda.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
The Delaware. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your name here.
Nancy's hiding you.
Go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Haley Burleson from the Delaware Public Health District.
Okay.
Yeah, some updates about our building. It should be open to the public soon. We've been utilizing our Sunbury office for everyone for the whole county. They've been served out of the Sunbury office since our current building is still under construction, but it should be finished within the next month or two. We have some events. So we have a river cleanup coming up. Keep Delaware County Beautiful is putting that on if anyone's interested in that. We also have an opioid overdose CPR and naloxone training at Mary Haven on August 29th. And then we're also doing, since August 31st is Overdose Awareness Day and September is National Recovery Month, we're doing an event with the Strand where we'll have movies every Tuesday night in September that feature addiction and recovery. And instead of previews, we'll have speakers come to kind of give a real life perspective about those issues. So yeah, we invite any of you guys to come out to that.
Where was that location again, Ms. Burleson?
For the Strand Movie Theater. It's on Winter Street.
Oh, the Strand Theater.
Yep.
Over there in Delaware?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Any questions?
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. All right, now we'll move on. I believe any other visitors actually want to speak? I see a couple other folks. Okay, very good. Committee reports. Let's go down to the right here. How about Mr. Grumney? Anything to report, sir?
We had a full finance meeting, but I'll allow you to give that update.
Mr.
I
Kaplan.
don't have anything tonight.
Okay, Ms. Cooper.
Nope, not tonight.
Mr. Martin.
No.
Mr. Neff.
Yes, on July 26th, we had our events and commemoration. Did you give that up?
I gave that update. Last
Hey,
week.
nothing. Last meeting to report. The meeting the meeting I missed.
Oh, yeah. Ms. Cooper gave us that on August 2nd. Okay, very good. I do have one report. Is everyone here is aware we had the finance meeting just a few minutes ago. We finished that up. I won't regurgitate everything that we discussed, but just for the record, we did have Ms. Stefan tell us about the 2020 and 2021 audit findings. Basically 5 findings, nothing material, nothing intentional, basically a few errors and omissions, misclassifications of funds that have since been reclassified properly. The certified report should be available on August 24th next week. That's the correct date, right, Ms. Stefan? Okay. And we also talked about a credit card policy, getting that instituted. There's 2 options available there. We talked about that in the past, but now we're going to move forward and try to get that in place. Maybe at the next finance meeting, we'll need the mayor's feedback first for that before we proceed and consider that. We had the monthly variance reports presented. Interesting to note, we're getting 5% interest rate from Star Ohio. That produced $300,000 of interest income year to date. We budgeted about $20,000, so that's a nice surprise, to say the least. Legislative update, we may consider bumping up our bidding threshold from 50,000 to 75,000. That's effective October 3rd and available. If we choose to do that, we'll have to talk further about that. And then October 1st, if we wish to do so, we'll want to commence our discussion with the legislature to talk about pursuing some of the community investment funding. And MORPC will be part of that as well, part of that discussion. Oh, and Ms. Cooper also talked about the Leadership Delaware program that we're going to add some more money into the budget for that for next year and consider sending a person or 2 to that. So it's a very good meeting. I think that covers it. All right. Okay. Any other reports? Okay, very good. Let's go on to the police report. We have Detective Wade here. I'm sorry, Assistant Chief,
Deputy.
Deputy Chief. My apologies, sir.
It's okay. No apology there. They actually do real work. So the chief was early this morning with the school started. We had some overtime with the 3rd shift guys trying to cover some of our school zones, especially the construction one over there at the intermediate school. Trying to keep people slowed down and kids safe to and from school.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was over there earlier. I saw the gravel sidewalk.
Yes.
Sidewalk,
If you walk.
walking area.
Yeah.
How did that work? Do you have any feedback on that?
The officers didn't, the one area that was of concern where they come out and cross, the officers increased their presence to try to keep the traffic slowed and visual. it's going to be a challenge for us to be, you've got 7 of the 8 school zones in this area, and, we've got to be, we're getting complaints on North Miller about elementary school stop that happens there during traffic times. So it's going to be an assess and go as the year starts to unravel. Probably strategically be looking at placing our speed signs, as well as supplying overtime for officers to stay over on 3rd shift or come in early on 1st shift, try to increase presence. So
how long can you sustain that? How long do you expect to sustain that over there at the intermediate school?
As far as
An increased presence and overtime in the morning?
It's going to be limited. I mean, because our duties and responsibilities to the city, and if there's events that pull us from that, crashes, if this would have, the crash that happened on Trenton in 605 had that happen in the city, that would have probably taken several of our manpower. That was the disruption of your internet services today and Verizon services, as it sounds. Fiber was damaged, is my understanding. So we're going to do what we can do. Obviously, the schools have sent information out to the parents, and it's a new school year. So our presence will be there as much as we can possibly be. It is a priority for us. And as we take complaints, we'll take those seriously, and we look into those specific areas.
I was getting, and I know you guys get this all the time on every street, but as the schools, as everything sort of goes back into routine, I'm just getting feedback that we'll want to watch speeding on Fairland. So I just said I would pass that on. I know you guys take speeding around your school zone seriously, but I promised I would pass that on from a resident.
Looks like they stopped two this morning.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
So
Is it safe to say that Fairland and Miller Drive are the most troublesome speed zones during the school hours?
since I've been here, yes. Those are the 2 that I get the most most feedback from the community on.
Are you saying North Miller, like going towards the high school?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an increase that's not just for the school. I mean, it's an issue. North Miller and Cherry and engineers are looking at that. I know that there's been different traffic signal timings, as well as research being done on traffic pattern changes as we grow with that. So we get stuck as the tangible part of government, being out there trying to mitigate what's there. Not engineer anything new, but try to keep people using reasonable sense in driving to and from school.
And that was only half the students today.
Yeah, it's staggered starts until Friday. So,
Yeah.
Just hopefully the school passes along to the parents, and the message is, if you're running late, there's nothing worth the risk of property or people to be there 1 minute early, or it'd be maybe 5 minutes late. It is what it is. Rushing through a light, not paying attention, speeding through crosswalks, passing buses, not seeing a kid come out from behind a parked car. When that mistakes happen, the genie can't get put back in the bottle. You can't fix that mistake.
Mhm.
The only thing you can do is slow down, observe, pay attention, take your time. And if you're late, you're late.
Do you know if there were any warnings or citations or any incidences or accidents today with regard to
No
school traffic?
accidents that I was made aware of, and the traffic stops, I don't know the dispositions of those. The chief was in this morning with those. I came in later in the morning to cover this evening.
So there were a few.
Stops, yes.
Okay.
And do you know if those were at the intermediate school?
Cheshire Road was one. So, any more questions on the school?
Sorry,
No, but you can.
this is the feedback that we're getting too,
Yes,
so.
and we get some of the calls, and our efforts, it's priority 1 for us.
Yeah.
Was the accident at 605 and Trenton Road any school related, anything?
It disrupted services to the school. Internet service, fiber was damaged. So the fiber, I think, supplied not only the schools, but several of the businesses, as well as Verizon's cell tower.
Their email said their internet was fine, but their phones were down.
Yeah, it might have been the Verizon side of it then.
So that incident way out there at 605 and Trenton
Yes,
affected here
yes.
fiber.
Fiber is my understanding. Yes.
I think it knocked out Spectrum completely. So anybody that had internet or cable through Spectrum, it was knocked out, as well as Verizon.
I believe the sheriff's office did the investigation on that. I know their commercial enforcement was there.
Was that a commercial vehicle, major
My
impact?
understanding, I didn't get into the depth of the report and the specifics I didn't get. I just generally overheard over the radio.
No
The commercial
fatality,
officer was there,
no fatality that we know
not
of.
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
The truck, one of the two trucks we had taken up to Par, that's the company that outfits the vehicles for us. It's about a little over half complete. Again, supply and demand on stuff. We're waiting for the modem and cameras to go into that truck, and then that should be good to go. Less lethal, we are looking at, so anytime you're researching something, it's tough when you're in the business of anything and you've got one company to depend on. And I have nothing bad to say about Axon. The supplies are tasers. It's just when you have pretty much the market cornered, that, as you can see in this report, it gets a little expensive at times. So the chief had received information from a company out west that a lot of agencies are utilizing called Phaser. They have sent us a demo unit for us to do some research in that area to try to save some money in that as we move forward in the development of that less lethal option for officers. And then lastly, an update on the drone. We have 2 of our pilots have completed their 107 training. They're doing some refresher. The other 2 are right behind them to complete their online training. And then all 4 pilots should be through their 107 testing. And then moving forward from there with
That's all in schedule, isn't it?
we're moving along. Yes, the pilots, 2 of the pilots are also our training officers. So, they're training the new officers as well as trying to get in their online training. Ramirez, that was just in here, was selected as a project coordinator. That's to basically assist in the ground level, line level type stuff that's going on with the drone program, keeping track of records and what we need, what we don't, helping me along with that. I'll oversee it. However, he's the project coordinator.
So Saturday, sizzle and sound,
Yes, we
all hands on deck.
we have 6 special duty and we have established our 2nd shift and 3rd shift with additional overtime to come in early and stay over late. So we should be staffed fairly well for that. We've met with the fire chief. We'll have our briefing. We've met with sizzle coordinators. Well, everything seems to be going good.
Is that staffing level consistent with the last 2 years?
Yes. Yes.
I know it's worked out very favorably the last couple of years. We haven't had any major incidences.
We did not reduce staff, that's for sure. So we've got a little more presence in our patrol area around it. So if something spills out, we have a little more personnel to handle that situation. And if the something would happen, we would have that personnel there if we need it.
I would expect a big crowd with the perfect weather forecast.
That's what
My gosh, sunny and 70 degrees.
Definitely different from last year.
Think any better than that?
Look forward to a good time.
Absolutely.
Your good time and our good time are different.
That's right. I live through that. That's fun. Anything else?
Anything else for Deputy
Thank
Chief
you.
Lee?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're on to the administrator's report. Mr. Hennessy.
So just a few items you probably have noticed. 59 South Columbus Street, the demolition is, well, I guess the demolition is complete. The site work is not yet complete on the lot yet. So anyway, so the building is gone. The
Trees are intact.
Trees are intact. Although those trees are under stress, I'll give you a bigger update later.
Okay.
Anyway, they are squaring it up a little bit. They'll bring the concrete, they'll bring in some gravel tomorrow to backfill it at that point. He does think he'll be done tomorrow. On Friday, we'll have our team out cleaning the lot and doing what we can to make sure we picked up all the loose nails and whatever other debris might be there. Our plan is to put some temporary lines in place just to kind of coordinate or organize parking a little bit in that space because it will be available for public parking going forward. We're not going to try to put a whole bunch of vehicles in there, but I think we can have vehicles park and maneuver without maneuvering into the street. So that'll keep it a safe place for people to use. So I've asked the city planner, she's putting together at the moment a parking map that we hope to be able to put out. It's not gonna, and doesn't solve the sizzle issues. I'm not trying to suggest that, but I think we do need to do a better job of kind of letting people know where the public spaces are. We've also counted the number of public spaces. And we'll begin to start, I think, communicating that a little bit more to folks as well. So that should be out relatively soon.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but for the record, then that parking lot will be thoroughly inspected by our staff.
Yes.
On Thursday or Friday, magnetized for the nails, all debris. Cleared. And some kind of striping. So it's ready and safe for sizzle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Good work.
Yeah, very good.
The sizzle and sounds, I'll let you guys talk about the rest of that, but I do want to note that the streets will parking will become restricted beginning Friday afternoon at noon. So we'll have staff out there as vehicles are starting to leave the square, starting to secure those spots as restricted parking, so we can bring the festival rides and what have you. Those will be the first things to arrive. We expect those to be here around mid-afternoon on Friday. So Columbus Street at that point gets shut down when it gets in place. The food vendors will be here after 5 on Friday, and they'll start to shut down Granville at that point. And then also after 5 at 6 o'clock, the stage arrives. The fencing will arrive as well. So they'll begin to construct the fencing again around 5, 6 o'clock on Friday. So again, just if you're in and around the downtown, just know that again, parking will become restricted and the roads will start to close down periodically. We are trying to educate a little bit more with our social media account on kind of what to expect if you're coming to Sizzle. I know we had talked about maybe doing this through more of a with Joey Thomas's assistance. Joey was not available to help make that happen this time due to some other priorities that we've given to him and what have you. But we are pushing it out, and the event organizers are as well. Information about shuttles and where to catch them and where they'll be, that kind of stuff. So
I've seen several postings on the Civic Association site, so that's good.
Yeah. Keep in mind we have the bid openings, the bid opening on Friday for the facilities project. So keep your fingers crossed that we have a couple of bids and they'll get a competitive price. So we'll know come Friday morning on that. And then the final thing I'll say is I will be out next week on vacation. So if you need me, my responses will be a little delayed. But
do you think that would affect our events committee?
no, I've been training a staff member to really work on.
Mr. Martin is going to be out as well.
I'll be in North Carolina, but I could run home for the meeting.
We can talk later.
Do we think we might not have a quorum? Is that what we're saying?
No, I just was,
Can you make it next Wednesday?
Hope so. Guess we'll find out.
Hope so.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like to meet
Yeah,
if we
I
can,
think-
because we want to get that citizen recognition going if we can.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think there's plenty of business to be had.
Okay.
Amber and I'll talk through it and she'll
Okay.
be ready to staff
Yeah.
you.
And if you need anything from me, we can talk before the meeting.
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Hennessy?
They're still accepting more volunteers for Sizzle. It's mostly the night shift now. So if you're a night owl and you want to work that 8 to 11 shift, I think last time I looked, there were still about 11 openings
Is that all in the service of the alcohol serving
in
area?
the
or
beer garden.
Just the beer garden, that's all they need.
I'd have to look back. I haven't signed up. I'll go Friday night and I'll bring some teenagers with me to help set up Friday night. And I
Okay.
think you're signed up that night or the next morning.
Sunday morning for
Yeah,
cleanup.
and I think they have the girls soccer team helping too. So I think they're primarily looking for that 8 to 11 shift. So if you know anybody that can help out with that.
Okay, very good. Engineers report. CT.
Thank you, Mr. Goes.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of things on here to present. Again, I'm not going to do a deep dive on anything, but
anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The Reservoir Park fishing piers, we've got that, got those plans at 75%. In fact, gave Daryl a copy today so he can review and start looking at that. We do have a tight schedule on it. So we're moving forward on that.
Question,
Yes,
real
sir.
quick. That'll come through at least half of that in our parks discussion, our
Correct.
next meeting.
Correct.
I think it's the 6th of September, right?
Right. It'll be both services and parks because of the dams issue.
Okay.
I said, I put an S on the end of that. J.R. Smith, we're, as noted last time, we're in the same situation, our same progress, evaluating phasing and engineering costs as well as some other issues related to the water usage. Walnut Street, again, same issue. We're doing surveying, have surveys scheduled, but aren't out there yet. Wastewater treatment plant expansion, we've got that in at EPA. It seems to be taking quite a while to get our review done, but we hope to get that accelerated here shortly. Little Walnut Creek Interceptor is coming along pretty well. Wes and I have some, we've done some preliminary engineering or refining that for, to kind of make it more efficient, cost effective, value engineering, I would say. Traffic calming, traffic calming itself, I think Alyssa is preparing a community survey to send out to the community to evaluate options, kind of some education and option selection. The other traffic items, the traffic timing issue, Bob is still looking at it, is looking at that and spends some time in the cabinets occasionally, but is also anxious to hear from ODOT and what they're going to allow us to do, what they will give us for funding to do some more sophisticated work. GIS mapping, we've made some progress with that. And I know we talked about that last time. We've got some inventory done and we're looking at some other potential options to do some other things with it. It's coming along just fine. Zoning code, the light industrial district zoning code is in for review now. It's pretty complete. You'll see that on the 28th. The planning commission will. Ravines at Meadow Ridge, we've gotten the submittals for the next 2 phases of that. I have not yet had a chance to review it. Probably won't for a week or 2 because we also have a second submittal for the Granville Street apartments. And a few little things on the rest of these subdivisions. Kentner Crossing, there's some potential changes to that we're evaluating, working with the owner. I think we're all aware of what's been going on at Magnolia Park. They do have that gravel sidewalk down. As far as I know, it's working okay.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
Do you recall off the top of your head how many plot lots we have going in for Magnolia
I
Farm?
believe it was only about, on that section, you mean on Fairland? I believe it was only about 6 along there. Is that, there's not a lot of them.
There aren't many. Yeah, it's less than 10 that'll be on the sidewalk side, but the total development is around 37,
Right.
39-ish, somewhere in there.
I'll send it to you tomorrow or tonight.
In your report, it has middle school.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because I was trying to find that. I was going to report, so I was like, this
I
is
don't
the
know why I've
wrong
got that in my
school.
mind to call that middle school. I will fix that. Hopefully, you'll catch me next time if I don't.
We know what you mean.
And that is my story for today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And you just, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go.
Can you speak briefly, Dan, about the 2023 street improvements and where it's, we've had a discussion here this week. I know Strasser has been delayed, but for the record, can you just briefly explain why?
Honestly, the answer to that is no. I haven't been involved with it. Daryl will have to field that question.
Okay, we've had some questions on that. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So remember, we've teed this up a little bit differently. Rather than CT being the inspector in this, we've got a third party, we've got a different inspector involved. So Dan is there if there are any engineering or any design issues, he will be circling back. So that's not in his court by any way, or in CT's court in any way, shape, or form. So a little disappointing. We have asked Strasser, our paving contractor, to provide a schedule. They haven't provided a schedule yet. We did issue a notice to proceed on the contract. They had a window of time in which they were supposed to act. They were supposed to begin by August 15th. Here we are on August 16th. So yesterday, we had the DLZ, the inspector, sent them a letter basically spelling out the penalties for failure to complete the project in time. The actual completion is, or the final completion must be done by October 15th. So they're not, necessarily in jeopardy of missing the final deadline, but they're not giving us enough communication yet on the start time. And that said, what I did hear back from Strasser, they did respond and said, well, they were given a notice, basically said you got 7 days to respond as of that notice that they got from the inspector yesterday. They responded almost immediately and said, we're waiting on the subcontractor to give us a schedule related to the chip seal work. So that's where we are at the moment. I don't have a more definitive schedule. I have told them that, they can't just tell me they're going to start tomorrow because we want to try to provide communication to the residents about what's going on. So that said, they're not going to go and, start on Miller Drive and start pulling out the road. We've talked to them about the sensitivity of working around the school schedule there as well. So they'll start with the concrete work, any inlets, any curb work, any gutter work. That's where they'll start. So there won't be a big impact on traffic right away, but I'll keep you posted on the way here.
You just can't.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hennessy on that?
I just have one question on the Kittner Crossing. Has there been a developer named yet at housing development or development?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's so it was approved. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, it was brought forward by a developer to basically get a plan approval for that, but the builder has not been identified, and there's still work to be done. I think maybe a little bit of rework to be done on the design itself. So, yeah, no builder identified, no plan submitted, nothing like that yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from your report?
No, sir. Thank you.
Dan, thank you. Okay, very good. I think that's it for our reports. Let's move on to resolutions. We do have one here, resolution 2023.19. That is a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to submit assessment certificates to the Delaware County Auditor.
Yeah, so we don't need action on this evening. So we can just do the first reading. But upon the advice of bond counsel, they had suggested this would be a good practice for us to bring to council a list of the properties that we're going to now be subject to the property assessment that you guys agreed to last year to fund our Little Walnut Creek Interceptor improvements. So if you'll recall, as properties are being developed in the Rolling Hills and the Price Ponds subdivisions, as they're being occupied, they then get assessed this special assessment is attached to their property taxes, which then goes to pay for the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor construction. So each year we certify to the auditor the number of youth housing units that have received a certificate of occupancy. The window of time is anybody who has received it from August 1st of 1 year until July 31st of the following year. So on packet page 19 and 20, we've given you a list of the parcels that have received a certificate during that period of time. And the great news here is that they are exceeding, both developers are exceeding the scheduled commitments in terms of pulling down or completing houses. So the first one on Rolling Hills, there are 44 new properties that will now get assessed. That's good news because I think, as we talked about in Finance Committee, one of our big payments is that, semi-annual payment that we're making for the OWDA loan for the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor. So as these properties come on board, that cash is starting to come back into us. And again, it doesn't offset the payment yet, but it's certainly helping. So on this page, you see 44 new houses. 5 were approved last year, so we're sitting at 49. The developer's commitment was to have at least 25 houses built by July 1st and occupied by July 1st of 2023. So they're almost doubled, or they have almost doubled their commitment. And the same holds true for Price Ponds, which is on packet page 20. Their commitment was to have 10 houses occupied by July 31st of 2023. There are a total of 20 properties on this list, so nothing to do. Like I said, we can wait on this. We don't need action tonight. We do need to submit this by, I think it's September 11th is the date that's, yeah, September 11th.
And we can take action at the next meeting in 2 weeks, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right, very good. Okay, that no other resolutions. We do have an ordinance here. This is a third reading, however, it's currently tabled. It's ordinance number 2023.16. An ordinance accepting a petition for annexation or territory consisting of 84.97 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire Township, Delaware County, and owned by William R. Rogers II, Lori Lynn Giselle, Rich Rogers, trustee, replacing William Rogers and Patricia Rogers, both deceased and former trustees of the William Rogers and Patricia Rogers Family Trust Agreement, UTA, July 3rd, 2006. Mary Rogers, trustler, trustee, UA, dated the 14th day of August, 2009, and John A. Rogers, and declaring an emergency.
I apologize, I'm half asleep thinking about something else. That's on the table. So it does not need to be read. It remains on the table unless somebody wants to motion to take it off the table. And we don't need to do that tonight. But if we could spend just a second revisiting the resolution.
Nope.
It has to be submitted by the 11th.
Back to 2023.19.
Yes, on your agenda is considering the final meeting in August. It's a fifth meeting. Sometimes you don't do those.
Right.
If you don't do it, then this has to be passed on the 5th to be submitted the following Monday, which is the 11th. That takes 5 of you to suspend the 3 readings requirement because it will have 1 reading. That's right at Memorial, that's Labor Day week.
That is,
So just might want to do a straw vote. Does anybody know they're not going to be here for Labor Day week, that Wednesday, which is
I believe it's the 6th.
6th?
I guess my question, is there any reservations not to pass this tonight? I mean, is there more discussion or consideration needed? Are we?
There's no reservation on staff side.
Okay.
You know, this could have a second reading, but I hate to put us in a position where our requirement is literally 3 business days beyond our next meeting, and we've got to have a super majority at that meeting. I mean,
if we don't need to have,
holiday week.
yeah, if we don't need to have another reading, I guess I'm not sure what another reading, what benefit if we wait another month to read this one more time, what that's going to do for us versus just passing it tonight.
Sounds appropriate from what I'm hearing from Mr. Breen. To pass it.
Totally a contractual requirement that we submit these. We're just memorializing it, and that's at bond council's suggestion. He said, really, Dana needs to do it no matter what, but it'd be good if you pass legislation approving what she's doing in this case.
So can I make a motion to suspend the rules?
You may.
I'd make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Grundy on resolution 2023.19 to suspend the rules. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion on resolution 2023.19.
Motion by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Grumney. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, I think that is it for the ordinances and resolutions. Let's go to no unfinished business. S&P Global Rating. Mr. Hennessy is here to speak about that.
Yeah, as Ms. Steffen mentioned during the Finance Committee meeting, we do have a ratings call with S&P Global scheduled for the end of this month. The city is seeking a bond rating so that we can issue bonds related to these facilities project. If we don't receive any bids, of course, that we'll cancel the ratings call and we won't have this expenditure. But in order to do that, there is a cost associated with meeting with rating agencies and receiving that. The rating fee is $14,250. And so basically, we're asking council's approval of that. Yeah, so if you have questions regarding this, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just so I understand that correctly, that's a call. We'll have Baker Tilly, Mr. Franzman, the mayor, Mr. Hennessy will be on the call with the S&P advisory rep, right?
Right, we'll also have the director of finance on there as well. Yeah, and we've been working with the advising team, Baker Tilly and Chris Franzman and Mr. Collinsworth to develop a presentation package. So we've got that ready to go. And so I think we're teed up and ready to go again. This is really a question of whether or not we get a competitive bid on Friday. So, but if we do, then we'll be teed up to go in front of them, get the rating, and the plan is to if we follow the schedule, I think we'll be identifying a contractor maybe at the September meeting. We'll be looking to basically approve the final terms of any financing by the end of September before they then go out and issue the bonds and what have you. So.
And did you say you need guidance from us? Or approval on
We
that
need
expense?
approval of this expenditure.
14,000.
Yeah, it's beyond the mayor's spending authority and, but below the competitive threshold issue that we were talking about earlier. The next one is the same. So,
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cooper, second by Mr. Capel, for the $14,250 expenditure. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
and Mr. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion passes. All right. Let's go to second item there, US 36 guardrail repair replacement.
So we had talked about this in the services committee meeting earlier this month and said we would be bringing it back to the full council. So for the rest of you, this is ODOT has sent us a letter. Basically says we need to remove and replace the guardrail on 36 where it heads north at Cherry Street. So that if you look down there, you'll see there's a guardrail on both sides of the road. Over time, the guardrail has ended up because of, I think, some recapping of the road, paving of the road. The guardrail is now too low relative to the height of the road. And so that's the primary reason that's driving the need to replace and lift the guardrail. There are also, I think, 2 places where it's been damaged by a vehicle. And so those need to be repaired as well. So ODOT sent that letter to us. They were working with Mr. Piles on that before he left. And what we had requested is, or what ODOT had offered to do, Lake Erie Construction Company is going to be doing guardrail repair just down the street on 36 in the county portion. And what they said is we'll offer you, the same pricing that we're going to be doing there, give you a better price, you, the city of Sunbury, if you use the same contractor that ODOT's going to be using in that area. So that's what we have in front of us is the proposal from Lake Erie Construction. The plan is to do it later this year. If we decide we need to wait for that, we'd probably have to go out and do some pricing on our own independent next year.
All right. I see it's 25,205.
Yep, that's right.
Do you need,
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes,
I'll
yes,
make
sorry.
that motion.
what's your thought on its on the scope and whether it's fair and reasonable, Daryl?
Well, I mean, I'm not, in this kind of business, so I don't really know the answer to that other than to say that, we have gone back and forth with ODOT. This did start when Mr. Piles was here. I mean, he was involved in kind of helping to get this pricing information. I think Steve thought it was the best way to get the best price on the project. So although he didn't see this number, he knew the process we were working through. So,
It's clearly a safety issue. I mean, with the.
yes.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Was there a first? Was that Ms. Cooper?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Cooper, second by Mr. Martin. The approval for Lake Erie Construction invoice 25,205. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Nothing else here except the discussion about, do we want the August 30th meeting date to take place?
Nothing pressing.
I don't think we have anything pressing. So
I move we don't have a meeting on August.
Mr. Vin, can you think of anything that might need our attention?
We just passed the resolution.
He's not sweating anymore.
Okay.
that's all right.
All right. Did you make a motion, Mr.
I
Martin?
did.
Okay, Mr. Martin on the motion to not have a meeting on August
second it.
on 30th. Second by Ms. Cooper. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
6 yeas.
But I will miss seeing y'all for, not for 3 weeks, but you know,
Nothing personal.
I'll live through it.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Martin. There's nothing else on the agenda. Anything else that anyone wishes
Well, new and unfinished business.
to add?
That's when you go around the horn and ask everybody.
All right. Any other new or unfinished business?
I had the opportunity last evening to go to what they called it was a dish and dine that was put on by the Delaware County Transit Authority, which used to be the Delaware Area Transit Authority, but now it's Delaware County. But they're looking at their entire program and their equipment. And one of the things they're looking at is getting Sunbury a little bit more involved with Sunbury. And then they're also working with CODA, meeting with CODA to talk about having places where Delaware County Transit Authority can haul people into Franklin County, and then CODA will pick them up to take them where they need to go in Columbus. So that's one of the things that's being considered and looked at. So I found it very interesting.
That's very interesting. That'd be great.
That's good.
Yeah.
So.
Very good.
I wanted to share that at our Rotary meeting on Tuesday, the guest speaker was Gina Grody from the United Way. And I was not familiar with all the things that the United Way does, and it blew me over. And so I set a meeting with her, and the United Way was recently in Sunbury for a school supply giveaway. And they said 200 kids, something like that, came through. Big Walnut kids got free school supplies. And so I set a meeting with her to just discuss how Sunbury can get more involved with the United Way and what we can do to help their mission, because it sounded great.
That does sound good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'll report back.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything, Mr. Capel,
Nothing here.
Mr. Grumney?
No, sir.
Anything for
That's you.
Mr. Neff?
Nothing.
Anything further from staff? Motion for adjournment. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
6 yeas.